Siliat.
below 70,000 and Nigeria with
Let's say 100. Let's say 100K, right? Let's put it on average. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's more like the average that somebody should be earning. But the problem we mean is that it works when the numbers are within range. But now you agree with me that we have a very like maybe top 1% of people in that category that maybe they own their own business or they took over family business as is maybe the CEO or the manager, or maybe they work in tech and they're able to get a remote job and working for a US based company and they are heavily paid maybe like $3,000. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So these people they are outliers because their salary does not reflect what the true market looks like or what the true category looks like. I don't know if that makes sense.
extent.
We said there is Mr. A. Mr. A is just a normal person. He earns 120,000, right? Then there is Mr. B, also an average person. He earns 100,000. Then Mr. C, right? He even earns 90,000. We said he's on average. So meaning that some people will earn more, some people would earn less. Does that make sense? Then there is Mr. D, who is a tech bro, earns about 3,000 US dollars. So say we convert it at maybe 1.5 or 1.7. Say he ends up earning about maybe 4.5 like per month. Then maybe there is Mr. E. Let's just stop at that. Let's stop at those four. Now, this Mr. D is an outlier. Like, it does not reflect the true value of what people here should earn. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So, if you decide to find the mean of this, is anybody with a calculator? Can you help us find the mean? Now, can you see, like, finding the mean of this Mr. A to D, just because of Mr. D, it has skewed our results. Now, by the average now, is that okay? People like your average is now around 1.2. So if you go and feel 1.2, you are not representing your data. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, you are no longer representing your data because out of your 5 observations, right? Most of these people are usually like it does not make sense to go out and say, I did my analysis of people that finished from OAU last year and the average they are earning is 1.2. They will ask you that is he in this country? But just because of somebody like that's what I'm trying to say about outliers. Outliers will genuinely like will skew your words because so you have to be careful when you want to feel with me. You can only feel with me when you don't have outliers. Does that make sense? Somebody should
Yes,
respond,
sir.
please.
Yes, yeah,
Yes,
it makes
sir.
sense.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It makes
sir.
sense.
Good. You can only feel with me when you don't have outliers. Now we have outliers. What other options do we have? Another option that we have is we can fill with median. Does that make sense? Median is not affected by outlier. Median is the middle number. It is not affected by outlier. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If you want to do median of this now, the median will be what? Since we have four of them, it's going to be 120 plus 100, which is going to give you like 110. 110,000 is still a fair representation of it, even though we have 4.5 in our data sets or in our values. But 110,000 is still a fair representation. Do you know how I got to 110? For those of us that decided to
Okay.
go to
If
our
you
class
rearrange it and
mathematics,
ignore it,
for those of us that decided to go to our class and went for mathematics, let me just walk you through. Well, when you want to find median, the first thing you have to do is sort your value. So that's what I did: 90,000, 100,000, 120,000, and 4.5. So now when you have even numbers, like when you want to get to the median, it's going to give you two, which is 100 and 120 because it's even. Like we have four elements. So when you have that kind of scenario, you add both of them together and you find their average. So that's how we got to the 110,000 in this scenario. So you can fill with the median. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Now, this the sad part about mean and another sad part about mean and median is that they only work with numbers. I want to fill gender. Am I supposed to add all of the genders I have together and divide them by 10? That's not going to work. Do you understand? So that's where we come to the next one, which is the filling with mode. Like filling with mode, that is, you can fill with the one that is most recurring. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
yes, sir.
You can decide to fill with mode. Now, this is by no means exhaustive, but these are the common ways in which you fill. Now, what makes you a good data analyst or a good data cleaner or whatever it is that you have to use your intuition with it. Take for instance now, like the example I gave you guys the other time. I said maybe you didn't get the salary of one person. Now, if this Mr. E that we want to get his salary works in tech, do you understand? If he works in tech and there is a that shows that there is a very, very high probability that maybe he earns well, and you now go and give him more than 10,000. That is quite far from what's it called from your answer. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So what we can do is that it can take the average of everybody working in tech. You can subset your data to see only the people working in tech, then find the average salary of people working in tech instead of using the entire average. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Instead
It
of
does,
using
Mhm.
the
sir.
Makes
entire
sense.
average, okay, let me come again. I'm saying that this Mr. E, his profession is that maybe is a software engineer or is a cybersecurity analyst or is a data scientist or is a data analyst, like whatever profession he does. We shall can affiliate him that he works in tech. Do you understand? So now there is a very, very high likelihood that he ends well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So instead of now using the entire average or using the median that is going to give you about 110,000 that might not represent him well, you can decide to filter your data to see only the people that work in tech, like extract your data to only people that work in tech. So you now use the average of the people that work in tech to like, do you understand? You find the average of people that work in tech, or maybe he's a doctor or something.
Okay.
You find the average salary of doctors. Instead of using average salary of everybody that finished from OAU that you have. Do you understand? You now use the average salary of people that finished from his department.
Okay, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
it, it makes sense.
Good. So that's why, like I mentioned earlier, that you have to use your intuition as the analyst. You have to understand your data and you have to know what you want to get out of it. It's not just by the book. And that's where people that are really, really good with analysis differ from, or people that are quite successful in their field. That's where they get to differ from people that are just going to learn it and drop it. So you need to learn it, like to understand your data and understand what you want to get out of it. In fact, sometimes you combine you can combine two of them. Now, let me give you a rule of thumb when you want to drop missing row, like when you want to drop missing row, or when should you drop. I was supposed to mention when should you drop. For instance, now in a column, maybe in a particular in a table, we have about 7 columns. Do you understand? Say we have these following columns: name, age, maybe profession, salary, which one again? State, maybe CGPA. Do you understand? One, two, three, four, five, six. Which one again can I add? Maybe marital status too. Does that make sense? Now, for instance, now want to get the details of someone, you only got their name and their state. By default, you are going to drop this column because you if you are feeling for this person, you'll be feeling most of their information will be filled. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Like you are it's just more like you're the one collecting like the data, you are the one supplying the data because out of 7, you are the one filling 5 yourself. So it's as good as just sit down and fill your questionnaire yourself. Because name is quite generic, anybody can be from any state. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Or should I come over? Should I come again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm saying that what you are collecting, the details you are collecting, like when you are collecting your data, you only want to collect 7 features, which includes the person's name, their age, what they currently do, their salary, the state they live, the CGPA, and their marital status. Does that make sense? Now, I'm saying that when the person
Yes,
wanted
sir.
to fill, the person just filled their name and where they stay. Maybe the person just filled Taufik Ogun and the person left the rest. Like, I don't want to tell you my age, I don't want to tell you my profession, my salary, my CGPA. It's none of your business whether I'm single or not. Do you understand? So in that kind of scenario now, if you decide to fill with anything, you have to fill the person's age, you have to fill the person's profession, you have to fill the person's salary, the person's CGPA, and the person's marital status. So it is more like you are filling majority of the information yourself. Does that make sense? So that kind of that kind of role should be dropped because it's going to contribute to what we call bias to your data because you are the one filling it. So it does not represent the true observation that you want. So now a rule of thumb is that when you have more than 40% of a row missing, drop it. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
More than-
When you have more than 40% of a row, I mean of a row missing, drop it. That's one. Now, another way it works is that, say for instance, now you have about 10 million rows. You have about 10 million rows, and maybe about 200 of them, about out of the 10 million that you have, or even about 20,000 of them have missing values. You can drop it. You can just drop the 20,000, even if it's one person or two person, or sorry, if it's one feature or two features that is missing, just drop it. I don't know if that's clear.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Because you already have enough data sets to go on with your analysis. And dropping the 20,000 people out of 10 million would not stop your analysis from going right. But say, for instance, now you only have 100 persons, right? And about 20 of them have missing values. You can't drop, because if you are dropping 20 out of 100, you've dropped 20% of your data. So you have to do something to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the issue of dealing with missing value is very, very critical and very, very dynamic. You have to think about it. In fact, sometimes you clean and unclean. Like, you've done the cleaning, but you just realize that what I've done is rubbish. You go back and unclean it, like retrace your steps and use another method that gives you the optimum, what's it called? The optimum analysis. So that is how to do. That's just a brief of how you deal with missing value. Now, another error. Who can tell me another issue that might be in our data?
Duplicate value.
Maybe
Duplicate.
cases.
Yes, say duplicates. It's just like if I decide to fill the questionnaire twice, it doesn't, like, my that one is easy and straightforward. Just drop the duplicates. It's not necessary. Just drop it, because I already have your details. Thank you. God bless you. You can be going on. Now, what's another one? You want to talk? Okay, like, are you asking a question, or you are saying another problem we can have is inconsistency? Yes, another problem is inconsistency in data type. Is some people can decide to say, maybe because they finish with 5.0, they can decide to write it in full 5 point POINT 0 ZEORO. Do you understand? That's inconsistency in data set, like in that column, because what we are expecting is a figure, maybe a boolean, like, what's it called? A floating number, 4.0, 5.0, 5 point, whatever it is that you're working with. Does that make sense? So that also is one. Another one is outlier. I'm sure that I've spoken about outlier earlier, but let me just remind us about outlier again. Outlier are exaggerated numbers, and we can have extreme. exaggeration, or we can have extreme negligence. Now, when I say extreme exaggeration, is when it's on the upper side, like upper outlier and lower outlier. Upper outlier is if you are collecting ages of people in Prem 5, right? And you now see somebody of age 79, that's an upper outlier. Or if you are collecting ages of people currently doing their PhD, and you now see somebody of 11, that's lower outlier. Now, the problem with outlier is that outliers can be two. It can either be correct or not correct at all. Like there are some outliers that even though they look outrageous, they can still be correct. Like see this Mr. D salary, he actually earns that much, and there are people that earn that even way more, and that's the category they fall into. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. So are we going to drop the
Yes, sir.
outliers or
So what's going to tell you what, and there are some that can never be true. For instance, now somebody wants to fill their highest level of education and they feel elephant. What school did you go to that when you finished they give you elephant? Instead of a degree, they give you an elephant. For spending 4 years with us or 5 years with us, they give you an elephant. That one can never be true. So you know that that one you are deleting it. Now, when you delete that, it constitutes what? It constitutes missing value. Can you see the way it works? Like when you think you are done with all of your cleaning, when you think you are done with all of your cleaning, like all of your missing values, now you have another one showing face. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Also, another one that we can have is if the entire column is in a wrong format. For instance, now date is not showing you that as an object. You have to convert it. So we spent more than our 1 hour, but I think that at this point I can give you guys something to think about. Now, I want to quick before we go, I want to share your basic Python project. Amida, I want to say something.
Oh, it was a mistake. I pressed it by mistake.
I just sent it to you. Now this is it. Like it's a master's project. So I want us to also play around with it. Now, this is it. This is the brief. According to NHS, cardiovascular disease is what just focus on from here is a general term for condition that affects the heart or blood vessel. Blah blah blah. Digital out. So this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to get the data sets. This is the user interface module, the optional implementation. Like I want you to follow this assignment to the core. So just forget this. Who do I contact if you have questions? You know who to contact. Now there are some things with this assignment that you should know about. So, so these are what you do. In this task, you implement a module called query module that contains several functions for querying. Now, all of this you will not use pandas at all. You're going to use basic Python to do all of this analysis. Now, let me tell you, you cannot, please write it down. You cannot import any library. You cannot import any library, not even statistics. You cannot import any library. So you have to add code everything that you want to do in this assignment. You cannot import any library. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, we are with you. We heard you now.
Good. So you cannot import any library. So you're going to use add coding to get all of this sorted. Now let me ask you, how long do you think it will take you?
We don't know yet though.
So by my own estimation, I'm considering grouping you guys so that it makes it easier for you. But then I'm still thinking some people might not end up working. But what would work best is grouping you guys. So I'm going to try and group you guys to get a grouping by tomorrow. Because like I'm going to see if we can weed people so that you don't get paired with people that are no longer in the program. Or does it sound like it's too much? Or do you guys want to do it individually? Zainab,
Yes,
Olale is Zainab.
sir.
Do you guys want to do it individually?
No, sir. Group work is
No,
better, sir.
sir. No,
Grouping
no,
is
no.
better.
Group.
All right, no problem. I'll try to group you guys. I'll group you guys randomly.
Sir, please for the deadline, please try to consider that some of us have resumed and school work too is also part of
That's why I give you
our
guys
schedule.
three. That's why I give you guys 3 weeks. If I was not considerate, I'll give you guys that submit it by Wednesday.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes,
A
that's how.
month.
I mean, what did you say?
Month.
Ma? I actually didn't know. Yeah, I should give you guys months. No, now. So today is 17th of November. So that you guys can let me give you 3 weeks so that you can submit early, so that you can get to your December in peace.
Please, have you sent it?
Yes, I sent it to your platform. You didn't see it? Like to your WhatsApp page.
Oh, WhatsApp. Okay.
Yes, I'm going to add it to the classroom, but then it's easier that you guys have it now. Yes, Amida, you raised your hand.
Yes, sir. When you say hard, that we're going to hard code it, Does it mean that everything you're teaching us from the beginning of Python is what we're going to use?
and more.
Hey, good.
But we can use OOP, sir.
Yes, you can use OOP, but you cannot import anything that
Okay.
involves import. Forget it. You cannot use minimum, maximum. And to make sure that all of them are functions because that's what the question asks you to do. Don't worry, it's going to be a lot of learning curve for you. You'll be able to bring everything we've done together. So while we continue with pandas and matplotlib, now the interesting thing about this project is that when we are done, you still now redo this project using libraries, using all of these pandas, matplotlib, and the likes. So you now redo it. So any question for me? So if there is none, I'll tell you guys to sleep well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank